What is up, guys? You got Not the Worst here, bringing another Black Desert Online video, and today we are going to just be taking a look at my thoughts on Dark Knight Succession. So I'm just going to show a couple different aspects of it and just kind of put my 2 cents out there. I'm sure you guys have seen other people's breakdown after playing it quite a bit in the drop events that we had for a while going on, playing at Star's End and whatnot. I think I've had enough time to kind of give a full analysis of what I think on it. So right now I'm heading to Star's End. I'll show you high-end grinding, and then I also want to talk about the low-end spots. And then PvP-wise, I'm honestly not going to cover, let's be honest here, not a great PvPer to start with, even when Awakening was out, and I was kind of just getting going with Awakening PvP, and then Succession came out, and I've done almost nothing but grinding with it, and I'm terrible anyhow. So it's like relearning the class altogether in PvP, so it's going to be a while before I have much to say about that anyhow. In short, if you don't want to watch the upcoming clips for it, high-end grinding is much better than Awakening. You have a lot more potential for higher trash loot, as long as the rotation is allowing higher trash loot. I did find that the side rotation that I typically run at Star's End instead of the main kind of has a cap of what you can actually do in trash, and at a better rotation would yield more, but I actually couldn't hit. I was doing 3.7k trash on the side rotation in Awakening, and I'm doing about 4.1, 4.2-ish average now on it. I think I peaked at like 4.3 if I remember correctly, but I don't believe that it'd be very difficult to go above like 4.5 or so, just because you actually end up capping out that rotation. Main rotation nowadays is a lot more difficult to get a hold of. One, because I can't PvP for crap in Succession yet, is one of the problems. Two, other classes now have Succession, so my knowledge against fighting them is almost nothing, because now I need to learn what they're doing as well. And three, way more people have the gear for grinding Star's End, so the main rotation is actually a lot more competitive than it used to be. But overall, it's actually great. As far as grinding low-end zones, as you guys will see when I head over to probably use Kadri as an example, it's pretty bad. I'm sure you've heard that in general, that it's bad at low-end spots, but it's not just bad, it's very, very bad compared to Awakening. But we'll take a look at that in the upcoming clips here. So let me get set up at Star's End real fast. Just pop a couple of buffs and just kind of show you the skill rotation I'm using, and then a couple other things there. So let's head on to the next clip. Alright, so we're set up. One, we finally got my distortion earrings that were sitting for forever to sell at a decent price. I was kind of holding off on these till the price kind of came back up. I'm happy with 230. They were sitting at 180 for like over a month now, so that's pretty nice. Two, so here we go in the rotation. If you're familiar with the DK Discord, then I was originally using my own rotation, which I'll show you first. It worked okay. The DK1 Discord actually came out a little bit better, but I would actually start out with Twilight Dash, and then go into Legacy, Wheel, throw in a Slanted, and then Lunacy, Space, down right mouse button, Punish and whatnot, and then Ravage Rake, whatever's left, and then just throw a Kama Sylvia Slash from there. That combo I find is working pretty well if you're working on one of the little explosion towers for Star's End. But the one that once the DK Discord released the combo they were using, it was definitely much better. So I'll link to the DK Discord in the description if you want to check that out. But here's the combo that they're going with. Only thing is there's no slanted balance in between it. It doesn't do a ton of damage. Obviously, it's an amazing CC skill for it. But you can see getting the DP debuff and then using Pervasive Darkness and Enforcement, getting all back attacks on that with the DP debuff from Spirit Legacy is actually huge damage. So you'll take out the mobs a little quicker there. They do have another specific combo for just the little, let's see if I can circle it, the little towers that blow up and knock them down, using like airstrike and stuff. It was a little awkward for me, and maybe I'm just not used to using it, but I actually preferred the combo that I was using before, just because if you lead off with just getting behind them to start with it, you could start grouping them up with a Kama Sylvia Slash, and then Twilight Dash behind, Hidden Strike into the thing, and then just do like Spirit Legacy and Wheel of Fortune, and then that breaks the thing right there. So then you can throw the Slanted Balance in real quick before Lunacy, so you'll get the down attack on all of it, so all of that will get the down attack of damage. So I kind of prefer that. I did find it a little bit faster, but it's entirely possible that was just because I wasn't exactly nailing the combo for the little explosion-y corrupt crystal thing, whatever it's called, personally there. So yeah, that's a combo that I'm using for it. As far as what I think about it, obviously it's much faster than Awakening. I mean, if you just time the amount of time it takes you to kill a group of mobs, specifically without the crystal thing, because I think the crystal blow up things, it's pretty close. But the packs of mobs in between where you're not using the crystal, it's much quicker. Obviously the damage is just way higher. But another thing that I think it's not overlooked, but I haven't seen it talked about quite as much, the sustain for DK Succession is way better than DK Awakening, and that's mostly because of the new Lunacy of Vidir. You're actually getting that HP recovery plus 50 on every good hit, so this is actually kind of insane how good that is. What ends up happening, I would typically use around 200 to 250 HP pots per hour at Star's End, just between each session. Pop a loot scroll. By the time I'm done, I would use around 200 to 250. Now I'm using less than 100, like maybe 70 at most every hour, just because of that sustainability alone, mostly coming off the back of that Lunacy HP buff. But then it's also, again, obviously if you're outputting more damage, you're obviously the mobs are dying faster, so you're getting hit less. So yeah, no surprise, massive damage, and HP recovery is very good no matter what. So it is drastically better than Awakening in these high-end grind zones, just in general. And as far as like thoughts for like Akhman, Hystria is going to work similar to Star's End. Obviously you don't have crystals to blow them up, but you know, the mobs aren't getting CC'd by much there, and here the big mobs don't get CC'd. The small guys you can stiff and whatnot. Akhman, obviously you can actually score knockdowns repeatedly there, and as we see with the crystal damage, you can just do some insane damage with knockdowns. So I'm sure in Akhman it just completely melts. I'm gonna head on over to Kadri and just go ahead and show you the low end grinding. It's not great, but let's check that out. Okay, so scratch that with Kadri. Decided to go to Fattest just because it physically is like much closer to where we were at Star's End, so I don't have to run across the map and then run back. So it's like I said before, you've heard that it's bad. It is bad compared to Awakening, but how bad? It's very bad. You find yourself often when you're grinding these low-end spots wishing that Twilight Dash was just always off of cooldown, just because your alternatives are not great and not very mobile for the most part. Obviously Wheel of Fortune has a low cooldown, so you're like using that a whole ton. Spirit Legacy is not that bad for cooldown time, not quite as bad at least as Lunacy. So you're just kind of getting into the packs, just doing it, and it's just, if you're familiar with grinding in Awakening already, this is obnoxiously slow, like how terribly slow that you're moving through this. You'll even find yourself using like Ravage Rake into groups, and everything's just stationary for the most part. I mean, like I said, you do have Twilight Dash. Let's kill this poacher. You do have Twilight Dash, and again, you're just like hoping that it's always going to be off cooldown at some point, and it's unfortunately not. So yeah, it's slow, it's annoying. What do we get here? Nothing too amazing. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you spent time grinding in Awakening already, I honestly couldn't stand this. I went to Blood Wolves just yesterday just to kind of give it a fair chance, and having spent a lot of time at Blood Wolves in the past, it's just really annoying grinding this way. It feels completely terrible, super slow. Then I went to Kadri, which was almost even worse, just because Kadri's mobs are slightly spread out too. So now you're using like these things you want to have on cooldown and trying to be mobile and whatnot, a little more spread out instead of grouped up like this. Here, this is a little bit nicer than that. Blood Wolves, they are grouped up like this, but still, it's just, I guess this doesn't look bad if you're not super familiar with Awakening DK grinding, but yeah, if you are, it's, I mean, I would have melted through this whole area in like half the amount of time in Awakening, since you have like Shattering Darkness, Seed of Catastrophe, and you're just like dropping these skills from across the screen, flying through these mobs. Spirit Hunt is actually one of the biggest misses in low-end grinding like this. Any one-shotable places you really want, you could just come in and forward right mouse button Spirit Hunt these guys. That pack would be dead. Twilight Dash through it, drop a Seed of Catastrophe on that one. I mean, you'd just be zipping through it. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty bad. Not just worse than Awakening, in my opinion. It's very worse. The difference between high-end grinding, Awakening, and Succession, obviously the Succession is better, and then the difference between low-end grinding, it's not just better in Awakening, it's drastically better in Awakening than Succession for any one-shot zones, for sure. So there you go. That's my takeaway on DK Succession. I'll get into PvP in the next couple of weeks here, and maybe show a few clips on that in general. I know a lot of subscribers actually aren't that interested in the PvP videos, especially since I'm not great at it, but I'll put it out there for those that are interested. interested after I get a bit of practice in for the next coming weeks. And yeah, we'll just go from there and give a little analysis on that and some back and forth, and that'll be the next one on Succession. So with that said, that's it for this one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to get notifications when new videos do go live. And if you want to catch me playing live, you can click on the Twitch link in the description down below and head over there, drop a follow. That'll give you a notification for when the live stream is up as well. With that said, that's going to be it for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.